it? Oh, it's not 3Ding. Hold on, wait. Don't look at my face. Let's see if it 3Ds. Oh, I'm so sad. It was such a good intro too. Oh, let's do this. Whoa, 3D. That's right. We're doing 3D today. I wanted it to be so much cooler than it was. I'm sorry. Hi, I'm Andrew Hochradel. I will be your host and guide to our Illustrator Typography Challenge today. It is all about 3D. And before we get started, we're hopping right in because you need to do something before we start this lesson. You need to come into the Creative Cloud desktop app and make sure that you are updated to the latest version. Right here, if you click on all apps, it will show Illustrator right there, and it will show update needed or update available. So you can click on update available and it will update Illustrator for you. If you were watching this on YouTube anytime after St. Patrick's Day of 2020, hi, hello from the past. Nice to see you. This is a live stream, but if you are watching live today on St. Patrick's Day, you will need to update before you do this lesson. So go update right now because we are showing off some of the new 3D effects in Illustrator. It's going to be so much fun. If you want to follow along with me, go ahead and click the links down in the bio. You can download a starter file and we can work together. So what's new in this version of Illustrator? I could tell you or I could show you. So we're going to hop into Illustrator, and some of the things that we're going to work with is 3D. There are a lot of great improvements that have come to 3D. The ray tracing's better. The renders are better. We can now inflate and bevel both sides of an object. It's going to be crazy. So let's hop in. We're going to do some 3D lettering because we are doing 36 days of type. Make sure that you're posting your work on social media as well using 36 days of type. So let's hop in here and let's grab the type tool. For the people in our live chat, I do want to know what today's letter is for 36 days of type. Let me know what the letter is. I'm going to start out with a T, and you can pick whatever letter you want. So we just used the type tool and clicked on the artboard to start some point type, and then we typed the letter T. I'm gonna make this larger. I'm actually gonna use the scale tool to scale this all the way up, nice and large, looking good. And maybe let's do R just to get a little bit more fun. So I'm using Nimbus Sans Black. You can use whatever you want. And thank you. Someone in our live chat is saying that it is K today. Thank you. All right, so we are going to use this right here, and we're just going to place that on our artboard. We're going to leave this as live type, which you can see this line underneath it is live. And we're going to change the color to, I love this green that's in this like chartreuse is just gorgeous. It's one of my favorite colors. So we're going to select this and we're going to get into the 3D. Again, there are some new 3D tools. So I'm going to show you a little bit of how to use them in general, and then we'll get into some of the new stuff. Let's hit on Extrude and Bevel. And this will bring up our 3D panel, and you can see we're already looking really, really good in 3D. We can change the depth here when we're extruding. And so extrude is actually pulling it out, right? Is pulling it deeper into the space. So 3D, as I pull that, you can see that it is pulling and it's making it bigger and smaller, right? If you do not see a live preview as you're working on these things, you can hit Control or Command K, or you can go to Edit, Preferences, and then you want to go down to Performance, and then check real-time drawing and editing. That will make it so that you can see what you're doing in real time and not have to wait for it to render. So this is looking pretty good, right? We've got this awesome K looking great. Wow, we did it. All right, this is not where we're stopping. Not even close to where we're stopping. So some things that we can do here is we can actually rotate this. We can add a bevel. So let's add a little bevel, which is going to be like a little chisel into the letter. So let's click on this right here. And there we go. Now we have a bevel. And this is looking good. This is actually beveling that edge. And we can change the width. So maybe it's too much. We just want a small one. We can drag this down and you'll see that it's just getting a little bit of that edge. Looking good. The height is how far that bevel goes. So we can really pull that letter really far out. I don't want it that crazy. And then we can repeat it. So we can have a bunch of different bevels and it will keep cutting that letter into different bevels. I hardly ever use that, but you can use it if you want to work in 3D. So what I want to do is some new options here is bevel inside is going to push it down into the letter. And I love using bevel inside. I think that this looks really, really cool. And we can also bevel both sides. So we'll be able to see what that does in a second. So we have bevel inside, we have bevel both sides, and it's looking pretty good. And we can also change the rotation here. So you can use these sliders and you can see that it will rotate up and down. It will rotate around the center axis, and then it will also rotate, do a little cartwheel. So we can use those, or you can use one of the presets. And I'd suggest using the presets just because they're really, really good. So we're gonna go to off axis front, and that's where we were, right? So maybe let's do off axis top. Maybe off axis right. Let's see what happens there. That looks okay. So if I'm not going to use any of these, what we can do is we can click and drag in the center of this circle. So we just have the so we have the selection tool. If we click in the center of this circle, watch, we can free transform by just click and drag. Look at that. And we are dragging in 3D space. Whoosh, 3 dimensions. And as you can see, if I can get this light to hit just right, let's see if we can get that. You can actually see that it is beveled on this side as well. So you can see that it's beveling both sides, which is awesome. So we have it here. This is the front, right? Beveled. And then we come back to the back, and you can see now it has beveled the back of the letter for us as well. And that is brand new. Literally today, if you're watching on St. Patrick's Day, brand new. Bevel both sides. You can turn it off and it's just flat on that side, or you can bevel both sides and boom, there it is. So looks pretty great to me. Let's rotate this. So if we want to reset it, we can just come here and turn on front. Okay, that looks pretty good to me. So the next thing that we can do is we're going to do this off axis front. There we go. Is we can change the lighting. Now, this is something that is so helpful here is we can change the lighting and we can come into standard, or we can do diffuse. So if we click on diffuse, it is going to make it so that it's pretty even around the board. As I click and drag around here, you'll see that it's pretty even on that front, and it's moving the lighting with the letter. So maybe we want the letter to kind of be in this zone. Looks pretty good. So from here, we can change the intensity, we can change the rotation, and the intensity is just how bright it is, right? So we can really hit it with those bright lights, or we can bring it down and make it really dark. So we'll leave it somewhere in the middle. And then rotation is going to be where that light is hitting the letter. So we can click and drag this, and watch this. Oh, it's because we're diffuse. Okay, if you're diffuse, the rotation's not gonna matter. If we change it to standard, there we go, this will actually matter. So we're gonna bring it up, and as we move it around, you can see that that light is circling around that letter. Ooh. So it's circling around that letter, and maybe we want it to kind of hit from the bottom there, right? We want this kind of creepy shadow. I'm gonna pull it down just a little bit. Actually, let's reset it to off center. Off axis front, there we go. So we've got that creepy lighting by using the rotation right there. Those harsh shadows on the bottom looks pretty good. And then we can change the height. And the height is just how far it is away from the letter. So you can see the height of 90 degrees is gonna be right in front of that letter. And then as we pull it down, look at it's going lower and lower, and you can see now that you've got those harsh shadows coming in like it's kind of telling a ghost story. So maybe we want this, yeah, I want it to hit those edges. So right there. So cool, creepy ghost story, and then we can change the intensity and it will change those shadows for us. Looking pretty good to me. So now what we can do is we can add in some other pieces. And I'm actually gonna rotate this one more time so we can kind of see what's happening here in the back. With that lighting, you can see that it is beveled in the back as well. So looking pretty good in that 3D. And now we're going to turn on some shadows. So I am going to zoom out for this so that we can see the shadows. This is a newer feature, and it has been very much improved in this update. So we're going to click on this letter K and click on shadows. And that's going to turn on that harsh shadow, right, that we see there. And this actually gives you a better idea of what's happening with the lighting. So I'm going to set this back to off axis front. And we can see that that lighting is very much changing the intensity, right? If I bring it down, it's going to make, there we go. All right, looking good. The rotation is going to move that shadow And you can see that it's pulling that shadow down from those letters. So that looks pretty good. The height is going to make it so that that shadow becomes more or less. So maybe we just want a little bit of shadow on that. And then the softness will really change like the harshness of the light. If we have ambient on, it's not going to do that much. But let's leave ambient on for now. So we've got that shadow coming down, looking great. And yeah, this looks fantastic. So I'm going to shrink this down. And let's go ahead and type out a word here. So I'm just going to type out the word hello. And the cool thing is this is live type. Now it's going to take a little bit to render, but I'm just going to, I said it would take a little bit to render and it literally just did it in real time. Look at that. There's some major improvements here. So we are in real time able to edit and type on this text. So it's looking pretty good. Maybe we want to do some other changes. We can come in here and it looks like the bevel is too much. So I'm going to take the bevel height down a little bit. There we go. So now we've just got a little subtle bevel. Or maybe we want to change it so that it is a little more complex. Maybe we want it to have an outline. Maybe we want it to be rounded. I think rounded could be interesting. Let's pull that height. Ooh, looks a little crazy. Maybe we bevel outside. All right. So we have beveled and we have our type in looking good. And now I want to show you the magic that has changed, right? So this is the magic of ray tracing. So up here, we can render with ray tracing. There are a lot of render settings, but we can click right here and it will render with ray tracing. And watch what happens. I'm actually going to turn off a lot of these. Oh, come back here. There we go. Oh, Andrew, there we go. So I'm going to hit ray tracing and watch what happens. Watch the detail. Boom. Look at those shadows. Look at how gorgeous that became. So I'm going to change this to maybe a darker red so that we can really see what it looks like. Look at that. It is crisp. It is clean. Look at these shadows. Look at how clean those shadows are, right? It's amazing. Yes, it's totally amazing. So we're going to do another effect here. And this is going to be something that I'm actually going to use a letter to create a kind of bubbly text, right? And this is something that you can do when you're working on your own. And I'm just going to use the letter T. So we're going to scale up again, just using that letter T. And this time, instead of leaving it as live text, we are going to go to Object, and then we are going to go to Expand. So that we have an expand, we can hit OK, and it's going to expand this object. So this is looking pretty good, but I want to have some fun with it. So we're going to make it blue, and then I'm going to start breaking it into different shapes, right? So I'm going to use an L, which is just a ellipse. Thank you, that's the word. And I'm going to click and drag holding Shift to make an ellipse kind of over this edge of the T. We'll make this one yellow. Why not? Kind of center it in that space. Maybe we want to do a diamond in the middle. So I'm going to grab a rectangle and just make a nice little square. And then I'll rotate by 90 degrees and I will pull it in. If you don't see the bounding boxes, you can go to View and you can go to Show Bounding Box. I had turned mine off on accident. So boom. So we're going to drag this in. Oh boy. Weird things have happened. All right, so let's do this. Let's just scale it in a little bit. There we go. Get a nice diamond shape to maybe put in the center here. That's kind of fun. Sure. Drag it up a little bit. All right. Either way. All right, looks pretty good right there. And then maybe you want to go in and add in some little custom shapes. So you can really play around with what you're doing with this letter and maybe create a cool little pattern here that you can apply. We're just going to transform and reflect, and we're going to hit copy to make a copy of it and pull this over on this side as well. So that looks pretty good. Maybe we want to add some of these in here as well, so I can just copy and paste and then rotate it around. All right, we're going to drag this in to the center there. Looking pretty good. And then maybe down here, I just want to do a nice little block. And then maybe, let's move these in just a little bit. And then maybe down here, we have a nice little oval. So like a little bubbly oval. So we have so many shapes, right? So many. And let's go ahead and check this out. And someone in our live chat is asking about exporting. I don't think I have an answer to your specific question, but you can export as SVG now. Ooh, SVG 3D. 3D SVG. All right, so we have all of these different shapes. Let's throw some random colors on them to make them kind of fun. And what we're gonna do is we're actually going to make all of this 3D, and it's gonna look so great. This is one of my favorite things to do with letters, is to add in all of these different shapes, and then we can just blow it out with some 3D. So let's do maybe this dark purple. There we go. So from here, check this out. We are going to select all of these pieces, and we're going to use a tool called Inflate. So in our 3D, again, effects, 3D materials, and we can click on Inflate right here. And it is going to inflate all of these different objects for us. So fun. So it looks really good. It looks fun. But what I'm missing is I want to have some kind of interaction with this back letter, right? So I'm going to undo that. And what we're going to do is with all this selected, we are going to unselect that T, and we are going to select all of these objects that we have, right? I'm going to go to Edit, Copy, and then Edit and Paste in Place. So we paste in place here. And then I'm going to open up my Pathfinder tool. So Pathfinder right here, and we'll click on Unite. This is going to make everything one shape so that we can then select this back T right here. So with all these selected as one shape, we can hold Shift and select the T in the background, and we can click on -front, and it's going to basically punch out that T. So now you can see the T has all of those punched out. So watch what happens now when I select everything and inflate. This is so fun. So we're gonna click on Inflate, and boom. Look, it's giving us all the dimension of all of those different pieces and creating this really fun kind of bubbly letter. We can come in here and we can also change a lot of these settings. So let's say maybe the background, we want to have a little bit more depth. We can really give it that push, and we can also inflate both sides if we wanted. Now, what's gonna be interesting here is the volume. So we can make it more or less bubbly. So maybe we want it somewhere in the middle bubbly, middle bubble. And we can also change the orientation. So we can go to off-axis front, and it's going to move just that shape. If we group everything, I believe that it will move it together. Let's see what happens. So we're gonna select all of it. And if we just group it, let's see what happens. Okay, let's see. If we go off-axis front, it might not push it with the group. Okay, so it's not going to push it with the group, which is fine, but we can come in here and we could do each of these individually to kind of create this bubbly letter. So we can go in here and just do off-axis front, and it's going to move all of these. So we don't necessarily want to do that right now, but we can really create a cool effect. Now I could extrude these or bevel them, and it would work to kind of create this 3D. So let's maybe do some depth here and then change this to an off-axis front. So this can get really fun with some of these letters. Wow, this is looking totally crazy. And the same thing here, maybe we want to extrude and do that off-axis front. So we can do that with each of those and add some dimension. We can send this T all the way to the back by going right click and going to Arrange and Send to Back right there. And then maybe we want to make it so that these letters look like they're kind of popping out. So you can play around with the 3D and really move these around so that it looks like they're kind of popping out of that letter. So let me grab these two just so you can see it real quick. So it looks like it's kind of popping out of that 3D space. You can play around with these 3D effects and make some really, really cool, fun stuff, right? Little kind of like pieces going into the letters. So that looks pretty good. I do want to show you one more thing though, and that is the new materials. So we're going to type in just the word type here so we can see. And I'm going to scale this up using the scale tool, again, just clicking and dragging. And we're going to do this off of our artboard. There's so many things open. Let's close some of that. All right, so we're going to use this off of our artboard, and we're going to come in here, and we are just going to turn on the inflate. So that's going to inflate these letters. They are inflated. Let me make them a different color. So there we go. They are inflated. You can see that they look a little bit bubbly. And when I select this, we can make them inflated more, and we can't actually see the depth right now, but watch what happens. we can go ahead and change this to off axis. Let's do off axis top. Actually, let's do off axis front. Sure, that looks good. So you can see now that depth is making it super bubbly. But if we rotated this to the back, you'll see that it's flat on the back, right? We don't want it to be flat on the back. We're gonna go ahead and click on inflate both sides. And look at that, it has made it super bubbly on both sides, and it actually has made it so that it looks a little bit different. So I'm gonna go here, and you can see that's what it looks like when it's not inflated on both sides. And when we inflate on both sides, it's gonna round that out for us, right? So it really looks like it's inflated. We can change the volume so it's less bubbly, right? Just maybe a little inflation, or we can go all the way up. And then that depth we can bring down to create these really bubbly, fun letters. So that's looking pretty good to me. Let's go ahead and add some lighting and render a final version of this. The one thing that I do want to show you is the materials panel. And this is something that is new. It's on a technology preview, but in this materials panel, you can integrate some materials. So let's say that I want this to say lava. So I'm going to grab my type tool and I'm just going to type in lava. And I've downloaded right here a material, and I can click on this and watch what happens. It's going to think about it, and boom, it has turned my type into lava, right? 3D wrapped around, looking amazing. What we can do is we can actually look at the different roughnesses. So we can increase the roughness here. And then we also can do some lava contrast. Maybe we want the lava level to come up, right? We want a little more lava in here. There we go, it's integrated more lava. Maybe we want less lava. There we go, more rocks. We can change the heat so that it really pushes it up. And then maybe the chunk density, we can do more, less. You can really play around with all of these different pieces, change the colors, change the luminosity. There is a ton of this, right? An absolute ton of materials that you can work with. We also could do, let's do a steel one here. So it's going to apply that steel. That looks pretty good. Maybe we want to do the swamp one, make it swampy. All right, let's stick with lava. But here we can actually change the lighting so that it is 3D, looking like it's kind of pulling it away. So check this out. We can go ahead and hit the lighting, and maybe we want to do some shadows for sure. So it's going to give us some shadow off of that. Maybe we want the shadow on the top left. And you can see that as I move this rotation, it's changing the lighting on that lava. Look at it's changing the textures, the way that it interacts. This is totally insane. So we're going to do lava, and we're going to have it come down here at a kind of a 45 angle. And we can change the distance of the object. So we can have it float really far away. We can have it get really, really close right there, which is, I think, what we want. Now the height, again, is going to stretch that, or it's going to pull it closer. So I think we want it to be pretty close here, looking good there to me. So the intensity, let's make sure it's not too crazy. But what we can do is we can actually put a color on this. So let's make this a nice red, right? Hot red. And you'll see there, it has actually changed the lighting on this object so you can see that red. Now when I click on the ray tracing, let's see what happens. So this might be a little bit crazy in the ray tracing. Oh yeah. So you can see here that the ray tracing has actually thrown a shadow on that type. So that the red is kind of glowing and bouncing off of all those little pieces of lava. So it's looking pretty good. This is so fun. And you can play around with these and create some awesome, incredible letters. So play around with these new features. And remember, we do have features for inflate both sides now. So we can inflate both sides, and we can just click and drag, and you can see, this is ray tracing, that both sides are inflated, and you can have that awesome look on both sides and make it look really super bubbly in any direction. And look at that. It's just maintaining everywhere we go. It's maintaining that awesome 3D effect. So play around with 3D, and what I want you to do is post on social media using hashtag 36daysoftype, and then make sure you go over here to our Discord, bit.ly/AI Discord, to post your work, to get some feedback, and play around with these new 3D features. I'm super excited to see what you create with this 3D. And remember, inflate both sides and go update your Illustrator. Get the latest version so that you can check out all these new features. It's going to be a great time. So if you are watching live, hello, come back tomorrow. On Friday, we'll be doing a recap of all of our challenges, answering your questions, hanging out, highlighting some of the best work from Discord, and just having a great time. So I will see you again. I'm Andrew Hochradel, and be sure to check out those links in the bio. Bye. And by bio, I mean description. I don't know. I'm so used to saying bio. All right. See ya.